Tonight, I've been instructed to keep the short. Raptors, Tebow, Roger, LeBron, Gags, Strick, Buff, Casino Rama Grill Room.
Shot clock down to 5. Jose uses the screen in the corner. Antoine Rod puts it away.
Now it's time for me to start talking. There you have it. Antoine Wright with the dagger. The Raps leapfrog the Heat in the standings in the East with a 111-103 win. Bargnani filled it up, pouring in 27. And Bosch was, quite frankly, going for 24 and 18. All good signs for the Raps. They're now 5th in the Eastern Conference. Building off Sunday's big win over the Lakers. These are all positives. The negative here, they got a tail end of a back-to-back tonight in the Big Apple against the New York Knicks, who after losing by 50 came out and just whooped the Minnesota Timberwolves. But is this game tonight, anything but a sure win, Will, in your eyes?
I wouldn't say it's a sure win. I would hope that they play off the momentum of beating the Heat and beating the Lakers and go into New York and have a good showing. Even if they lose the game in a fashion where you see the same kind of effort, but New York might be a little more rested or whatever, I think it bodes well for the Raptors. Andre is actually playing out of his mind, and I've been one of his most vocal critics. But he's actually played a lot tougher than I thought he could. Chris is going to give you the numbers off the window and with the numbers in the basket every night. So I'm happy to see him winning. Are they a legitimate playoff team yet? Don't know.
I want to get back to Bargnani here. Has he finally taken that turn where we can see a consistent Andrea Bargnani going forward? Or is he going to regress again, have an off game where he completely disappears, puts up 2 rebounds? Or is this something that he can really build on here?
We have seen the city get very excited very quickly for sports teams when we get this little glimpse of success. And Bargnani hasn't.
That's why.
Exactly. And Bargnani hasn't obviously done it long term yet. He is playing like a #1 pick right now. That's exciting because the first time he's played like a #1 pick since he came into the league. I don't want to get too excited. I just say down the line, there's still a lot of room for things to change. This streak has been nice, 13 out of 18 games over the last 2 months now. But regardless, they've only beaten one elite Eastern Conference team, and that's Orlando on the road. That's a great win, but there's still a long ways to go.
Bees, have you noticed a difference in Andrea recently?
Oh, absolutely. I think the light has finally come on. He's doing things now that he didn't do before, that he's always been capable of. But I look at this Raptors team sitting in 5th now, and that's exactly where I would have thought they would end up, because the 4 teams in front of them are 4 teams, frankly, that they're not going to catch, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
5th, maybe 6th, Toronto, Miami, interchangeable maybe, but to me, they're exactly where I thought they'd be. If they ever get this Turk guy going and Reggie Evans back, they could be right up there, but they're still not going to get in the top 4.
It's about consistency, right?
Yeah, it's about consistency, and you want to see some development. I don't know if it makes a difference whether they're 5 or 9. Because they're not going to be in that top 4 either way. So if they make the first round of the playoffs, they're not. I don't think that they can beat Atlanta.
No, I agree. They can't.
And they definitely can't beat the other top 3. So it's a window into what they could looking forward to next season. Keeping Chris possibly, because Andre has shown the kind of turnaround, and Jarrett Jack has actually changed the complexion of this team.
And Chris is
with his
actually
toughness.
seeing that this team might be worth sticking around with.
Absolutely.
You don't make the playoffs, though, and the chances of keeping Chris are diminished greatly.
So
you need to
I
make
think you got to make that decision whether or not you're going to make the playoffs or not. Where do you see this team going forward? Do you think this is a team that can compete with the top 4 in the coming years if Turkoglu eventually ends up waking up? Or is this kind of the peak? Is this the plateau for this team? Is this as good as it gets, being the 5th team in the Eastern Conference? And if it is, then you got to consider moving on without Chris.
Yeah, well, I think, to me, Bosch, is going to be a guy who's staying. I mean, more and more, the way he's playing, the way the team's responding to him, yes. Turkoglu is going to be the problem, I think.
So what do you do with Turkoglu?
Well, it's going to be almost impossible to trade him with his contract, right? I mean, DeMar DeRozan keeps progressing. He could be a solid contributor. But if to me, they're a good team, but they can't get much better unless Turkoglu finds another gear. Frankly, I don't see it.
You know what's going to happen, Buff, is that July 1st, 2010, we're going to see the complexion of a lot of teams change. And even though Toronto brought in 9 new players this year, I think they have a core. If Chris feels confident enough that Andrea's turning the corner, and they're going to keep Jarrett Jack, and if they can find a way to either keep Jose or get rid of Turkoglu, they have some albatrosses as far as contracts and the luxury tax that's coming up, right? So if they can move some people and get the kind of complimentary parts to come in. Like, I'm not even counting Reggie Evans. He hasn't played all year, so I don't even put him in the conversation. But in 2010, 2011 season, if the Raptors keep this core that they have, this running a little bit, we may see some changes in the Raptors, and they may be a top 4 team in the East.
I completely agree, and I don't know if we can give up on Turkoglu yet. It's only halfway through his first season as a Raptor. He's shown in the past that he can be a good role player. You're right. I'm not thrilled about it, but I don't think we can give up just yet on Turkoglu either.
I'm not saying you give up on Turkoglu, but why do you give $53 million to a guy who's never made an All-Star team, never been an NBA All-Star, and you gave him this kind of money because he hit a couple of clutch shots?
He was supposed to be the missing link, the guy that can shoot from the outside, drive a little, distribute the ball, handle the ball, and now, quite frankly, this year, he's just been missing. I got to take a break, Will. After the break, Tim Tebow thinks he's better than you, and to prove it, he's going to try to ruin your Super Bowl. How you feel about that?